You seem uncomfortable. Do I make you nervous, Corky?
No.
Thirsty, maybe.
Curious, maybe.
That's funny. I'm feeling a little bit curious myself.
The mind is a labyrinth, ladies and ladies, a podcast. And while the paths of the brain are plainly visible, its ways deceptively apparent, its destinations are unknown, its secrets still secret. And, if we are honest, it is the lure of the labyrinth that draws us to our chosen field to unlock those secrets. Others have been here before us and have left us signs, but we, as explorers of the mind, must devote our lives and energies to going further, to tread the unknown corridors in order to find, ultimately, the final solution. Yikes. We have to see. We have to know.
Welcome to Pleasers.
And Punishers.
Where we talk about movies that people love to watch.
Movies that ruin your today, tomorrow, and yesterday.
And all things kinky and queer.
I'm Caitlin of the North.
I'm May. I can do that. I'm a doctor. Schultz.
And I'm Amanda Jane Stern, and I'd maybe, just maybe, let Uncle Frank punish me.
And today we're discussing what to give the person who has everything. Is it a skin suit or a giant flying hell penis with half a Chenard head? Chenard head! Oh my god, with half a Chenard head. Welcome to Hellraiser Month, or as I named it because there's something wrong with me, Julia, Joey, John, and Jamie June. We are not starting off with Hellraiser. We're actually starting with Hellbound, Hellraiser II, directed by Tony Randall, written by Peter Atkins, story by Clive Barker, starring Ashley Lawrence, Claire Higgins, Kenneth Cranham, Imogen Borman, Barbie Wilde. Now I'm getting into our Cenobites. Barbie Wilde, Nicholas Vince, Simon Bamford, and of course, Doug fucking Bradley. And with music by Christopher Young.
Christian?
He's a Christian.
Oh,
he is
is
a
he?
Christian.
But wait, a fourth member of our kinky crew has appeared. It's cult legend, drag queen, MC, filmmaker, and host of the Midnight Mass podcast, Peaches Christ.
Hello.
Welcome, Peaches. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So, my opening question, what's your favorite shade of lipstick?
I go back and forth. Obviously, I'm always in the market for a deep, dark jet black. Mm-hmm. But there is this MAC color called Cyber that's sort of a purplish, almost black that I like a lot, too.
Excellent. Caitlin, Amanda?
I like an orangey red, is what I'm going to say. I can do an orange because I've never been out in the sun in my life, and I have green eyes. So I look very good in an orange. I don't remember what the color exactly is called, but on that side of the spectrum.
I can also rock an orangey red or anything kind of peachy, because I too am pale as fuck.
There is a NYX lingerie XXL color that's kind of like a dark red, almost a burgundy. Mm-hmm. I cannot remember the name of the shade. I have it in my makeup bag in the bathroom. I probably should have grabbed it, but that one is my favorite. It looks great on me, and I tend to wear a lot of like reds, pinks, purples, so it goes with pretty much everything.
Do you do the thing that I do where you start naming shades of lipstick your own names, and then it doesn't really matter what color, you kind of go, okay, that's a good fuck me red. I need that fuck me red. So I have like 5 different brands of a fuck me red, but I don't know what they're really called.
Yeah, I have no idea what it's really called. I'll be like, this is like wet brick. When you're in New York City and you see a building that's wet, it's a red, it's a wet brick.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, mine I basically think of as I'm going to leave this all over your cooch red. because that's what's going to happen.
Whoa.
We have talked about this happening, haven't we?
Yep. Yeah. There was one time I was wearing a Maybelline like blue lipstick, and I left blue mouth prints all over my partner at the time, like on her tits, on her crotch, on her ass. They were everywhere.
When you're filming kissing scenes and you're wearing lipstick, that is in between scenes. That is something you really need your makeup artist on hand to fix.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Or if you're just making out with people at karaoke and then one of your friends goes, "What happened there?" and go, "That's Caitlin's lipstick all over. Don't worry about it."
It drives me nuts, and it even exists in my own movie, where you can tell that they did not totally remove all of the color around someone's lip before doing the second or third take of a makeout scene.
Wait, was that in All About Evil?
Yes, it was. And there's a scene where Natasha has to make out with Jack Donner, who's the old man, who's the projectionist. And there are some shots before she starts making out with him where I can tell we're on take 2 or 3, and it drives me nuts. Not just in my movie, but in any movie, you know.
We have a moment in my movie as well where I can tell that this was definitely take, I don't know, of this makeup scene, but we were wet.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yep.
So it was really hard to fix the makeup between those takes.
And you're supposed to start dry and get wet?
I'm supposed to start dry, yes.
Yeah.
Speaking of getting wet, let's get into some role play.
Is that your bathing suit? Is that your overbite?
Now, one of you will be the drowning victim, and the other one gets to be our lifesaver.
I'll be the victim all your life.
This is a wet movie.
It's
Yeah,
true.
it is.
This is a wet movie.
Previously on Hellraiser. After her uncle Frank and stepmother Julia murdered her father Larry and then were themselves killed, Kirsty Cotton defeated the Cenobites using the Lament configuration puzzle box.
Okay, I have an immediate story to tell with this. So I was down in Portland at a strip club, and one of the dancers had tattooed, like right under her butt, "Jesus wept."
Oh, boy.
And me, just being the good Christian that I am,
Yes, so
was
Christian.
like, I went, "Oh, that's awesome. It's a Hellraiser reference." Not knowing at all that this was in the Bibli. I was told that this might also be a very common thing for erotic dancers to have tattooed on themselves.
Really?
Interesting.
Why?
I mean, for Satan, I guess.
Well, I don't want to get too, to stall the flow here, but I also think since you brought up Jesus wept, it should be noted, it's on record that was not the line in the script and the actor improv'd it.
Yeah, Andrew Robinson decided to do that because originally he was supposed to say "fuck you," which is like, unless you are R.J. McCready in The Thing saying, "Yeah, well, fuck you too," when you blow up the thing, doesn't quite work. I think Jesus wept is much better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, because the whole film is like such a wonderful tableau of sacrilege, but that really, and it's called Hellraiser, right? So it's like, what a thank God, Clive Barker's brilliant, but even geniuses need help sometimes, you know?
It was just the moment Brian turned to me, was like, "That's in the Bible." And I was like, "Oh, sure."
Caitlin.
It's one of the more popular lines.
You're right. Love his work.
In the 1920s in India during the British occupation, military officer Elliot Spencer opens the puzzle box and is subsequently transformed into the Hell Priest, who I refuse to call Pinhead because I have standards.
Dun, dun, dun.
Kirsty awakens in the Chenard Institute, a psychiatric hospital, where Detective Ronson has some questions about the story Steve told before he was sent home, and a cop investigates the house where everything went down. Real quick, one of my favorite decisions this movie makes is, Steve went home hours ago.
Steve?
We're never going to see him again.
Yep.
I'm on record as saying Steve is a lamp. He is completely pointless in that first movie.
I also like, though, that the new guy that they set up, who's as to maybe be a love interest.
Kyle.
No,
Kyle?
they just kill him. Kill him quick.
Kyle. The Stephen Kyle.
He's kind of killed in a way that's surprising. Like, it's so fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's disposed of real quick.
Yeah.
Kirsty begs Ronson and then Dr. Channard and his underling Kyle to destroy the mattress on which Julia died because it is drenched in Julia's blood. Naturally, Channard has it brought to his home.
Naturally.
That evening, Kyle tells Kirsty about Tiffany, a nonverbal patient who loves doing puzzles, and then Kirsty has a vision of her skinless father writing, "I am in hell, help me," on the wall in blood. And this was the inspiration for the Nine Inch Nails song, "Help Me, I Am in Hell." In the morning, she relays the entire tale of the first film to both doctors.
And we
Does
get to
really
watch
well.
it again.
I like that we get like another previously on montage.
Well, every single Friday the 13th movie starts with previously on.
Yep. Because they knew people weren't going to see the previous ones and they couldn't just watch them at home until the home video market exploded.
Clive Barker has so many things to say about Friday the 13th.
He does.
He has so much to say about Hellraiser 9.
Channard brings home a schizophrenic patient who sees bugs all over his body and crawling out of his body, and allows him to slash himself up all over the mattress until a skinless Julia emerges and consumes him in order to begin reconstituting herself. Kyle, who is there investigating, witnesses all of this from behind a curtain.
So, this actor is the one who plays Skinless Frank in both Hellraiser and this movie.
He's also the skinless body who writes, "I am in hell, help me."
Yes.
Kyle?
Really?
No. The Mr. Browning.
slashing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Apparently also Clive Barker, who was very involved, even though he did not write and direct this movie, apparently wanted him to cut his penis off in this scene.
Oh, and then we could have
Which
put it
they
for
tried
Dick Down
to
Month.
do. Yeah, I know. He tried to do, and I guess it did not come out well. So not include the penis playing in this movie.
This scene is extremely visceral for me as, someone who used to self-harm a lot. And the first time I watched this movie, it really fucked me up to watch this guy do this. Anyway.
I was going to say, as someone who loves makeup and like practical effects, I'm like,
oh, yeah.
Slash it, bitch.
Yeah. It's very well done.
Go.
I love how bloody these movies are.
Oh, this one, the gore level is so fabulous. And I am blown away by it. I never knew that the guy who is picking, slicing himself up was also in the skinless suits. That's so cool. Great trivia. I'm not good with trivia, but I love learning about it. So, bring it on. And also, I love that moment. I love this movie for a lot of reasons. I absolutely should say I love this movie. But there are certain things that are just so iconic, and we get hit with that "I am in hell, help me" shot at the beginning. Oh my God, chills. Julia rebirth, amazing. The fact that Kyle is behind the curtain is so great. It's so Hitchcock, Anyway.
After getting fresh and sharing a bloody kiss, Channard acquiesces to Julia's request to bring her victims on which to feed. After 8 of them, she finally has skin. How
she needs that new
flesh. This is all in one day.
She needs the new flesh.
And an entirely new hair color.
Yes. But this is in a day.
Like flawless. She looks
Oh,
flawless.
so flawless. She comes out looking
like she went to the salon.
Almost like Veronica Lake, except hair's on both sides. Like
she's like a 40s Hollywood
Femme fatale
diva or something.
Yeah.
Femme fatale. Yes, exactly.
Kyle, who now knows everything she said is true, comes to Kirsty to break her out of the facility. At Channard's house, Kirsty discovers the Hell Priest's true identity, and Julia feeds on Kyle. "I'm no longer just the wicked stepmother. I'm the evil queen," Julia says to Kirsty before slapping her once into unconsciousness.
Queen of Hell.
Hey, she's got superhuman strength now.
Yeah, that's probably true. Tiffany is tasked with unlocking the lament configuration, and the Cenobites enter Channard's office. "It is not hands that call us, it is desire," declares the Hell Priest, knowing that it wasn't Tiffany who truly summoned them. I love when I get to do voices. Julia leads Channard on a guided tour of hell. Kirsty searches for her daddy, and Tiffany's creepy carnival version of hell shows us that Channard killed her mother in order to take her for her puzzling skills.
This creepy carnival.
I hate it. I hate it so
Well, I know
much.
you hate it. I was like, oh, look at the clowns.
The guy juggling his own eyeballs with, like, kind of clown makeup on.
I feel like I've had that nightmare specifically.
That does not surprise me. Kirsty comes face to face with the Cenobites once again, and the whole gang is here. The Hell Priest, Butterball, the Chatterer, and even female Cenobite.
Butterball.
Female.
So, other fun trivia. The actor who plays the Chatterer and the actor who plays Butterball are the movers from the first Hellraiser, one of whom is the mover again at the end of this film. And the other mover at the end of the film looks like George Lucas.
I know the Chatterer specifically. One, he got very hurt on this movie, or almost had his brain pierced. But also, they wanted to make it so he could see. And no, he was like, could I please see in my mask? So they gave him eyeballs. Well,
and there was originally supposed to be a scene where that happens.
Like
and
slicing up eyeballs.
Yes, thank you, Frank Black.
Girl, you're so groovy.
So wait, are all the Cenobites besides Doug Bradley different in the second one?
No.
Simon is in both, right?
Yeah.
One of them was supposed to be the actual primary one, and not Doug Bradley, but he became the
female Cenobite in the Hellbound Heart is the one who has more of the dialogue.
Yay.
Yes. And that changed because Doug Bradley's Hell Priest look is so iconic that they decided to give him more of the lines. Obviously, Peaches, you've done a Hell Priest look. Caitlin has done a Hell Priest look that won them a fucking costume contest, which I'm never going to shut up about.
It's so fucking hot.
Oh my God, send me the pictures.
Yeah, it's astounding. Like,
I can't wait.
Caitlin and I started out kind of flirting with each other when we first became friends. And when they sent me those pictures of their look, I was just like, oh, I'm in love.
You're like, I have a lament configuration tramp stamp. I was like,
I do.
Hold my beer.
I'm ready to take on another Peaches version. And I'm wondering which of the three Cenobites, because I have to limit it to the first four. From the first two
obviously
movies.
Yeah.
Would you
don't do a Cenobite from the fifth one because they're just women with tights on their fucking heads.
Exactly.
You should do Angelique from Bloodline.
Yes.
I think that would be incredible.
Oh, yes.
I love her.
Yes.
I was thinking, a challenge accepted. I was thinking the Chatterer as Peaches with eye makeup that went way
Yeah, that is.
Okay, no, that would be
I will say.
You know what I mean?
Angelique
Like
would be
giant.
so good.
I was going to be on the Chatterer side too, so you know what?
And I refuse to do Butterball.
Yes.
Because it's too
No one
close
do
to
Butterball.
reality. Oh, God. I wouldn't have to wear any makeup or anything. Oh, God.
Just get real wet with it.
I live as Butterball.
It's okay. I was crying into my pizza before we got on. Watched an episode of Bob's Burgers that just like hit me a little too hard, and I was like,
we're like Blubberball.
Amazing.
yeah.
Yes.
What the ball?
But Kirsty escapes and runs into Tiffany. That was sorry. There was a long segue there.
Yeah.
I was like, who? What are we talking about?
Julia brings Channard to witness the glory of the Leviathan, Lord of the Labyrinth, and he is taken by a chamber that turns him into a Cenobite. Kirsty goes through the door of her house and enters a chamber filled with bloody, moaning maidens.
So when we witness the glory of Leviathan, this is when Christopher Young, who did the score, decided to make the Morse code for God.
Yeah, the low horn sound that it emits is spelling God in Morse code.
And I really love it because on the commentaries, Peta and Tony are just, I think it's Tony going like, yeah, apparently this is God in Morse code. And he's like, why?
Because the characters think they're gods.
It's like he felt the need to even it out, maybe, because we're doing a lot of things in hell, and he's a Christian, and that is why I said Christian Christopher Young.
Got it.
It all comes together at the end.
That is hilarious.
We all come together at the end.
I do know that Christopher Young is very proud of his score work for these
very
movies.
Good.
Which,
As he
yeah,
should
he should
be. Absolutely, 100%.
I've got them on vinyl.
Yeah, no, they're incredible.
Oh yeah, I have the Lament configuration like box set of the score for the first movie. I should have brought that in here.
I have just a little prop of the Lamont configuration
Oh,
on my
cute.
windowsill at home.
I have a keychain.
And as previously mentioned, I have a tramp stamp.
Yep.
But there's no sign of Larry, only Uncle Frank, who tricked her into coming here. So Kirsty sets the room on fire, and Frank loses all of his skin again. Julia arrives with Tiffany in tow and rips out Frank's heart as revenge for betraying her, allowing Tiffany and Kirsty to escape. I love that she is really fulfilling her fairy tale evil queen moniker here. Absolutely delicious.
Yes.
Julia's flesh is sucked into a vortex, leaving only her skin behind, along with the Leviathan configuration of the puzzle box. Kirsty and Tiffany find themselves back in the Institute, but hell has followed them.
Everything that, like, is skinless, oh my God.
So good.
So beautiful.
Just impeccable makeup work. And prosthetics.
Oh, it's amazing.
Oh, shit. Chenard emerges, blue, bloody, and somehow more evil than before, suspended from a giant penis, and butchers all of the patients who are playing with puzzle boxes.
Rude.
Kirsty tells the hell penis. Yes.
The hell penis. I heard that.
That's going in the blooper reel. Kirsty tells the hell priest his true identity and convinces the rest of the gang they were once human too. A battle ensues between Chenard and the other Cenobites, who each revert to their human forms as they die. Tiffany and Kirsty re-enter the labyrinth to retrieve the puzzle box, and Chenard prepares to eviscerate Tiffany. Kirsty reappears wearing Julia's skin and gives Chenard a big old kiss, allowing Tiffany time to solve the box. The top of Chenard's head, like middle of his jaw, is ripped off by its giant dick hat, and Kirsty saves Tiffany from falling into the abyss. They escape back into the Institute just before the doorway shuts, then walk out together looking cunty. At Chenard's house, one of the same movers from the first film, as I mentioned before, gets pulled halfway into the mattress, and the pillar of pain rises up. What's your pleasure, sir? And that's Hellbound Hellraiser 2. So tell me, and Peaches, will have you go first. If you were a Cenobite, what would your characteristics and name be?
Well, I was thinking about that since I knew the question was coming, and really, I mean, so are you talking about a name? I thought of it more as a name that the fans would give them rather than would be in the novel, right? So, like, as we all just determined, like, Clive Barker did not write a novel about Butterball. That's a name that was, created by fans to understand these characters. And in fact, it always drove me nuts because as a dorky young fan who saw the first Hellraiser in the cinema because I snuck in and saw it, and it traumatized me in the best way possible. I always thought he should be called Nailhead, not Pinhead. To me, they were nails,
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
they
I was
are.
thinking about it, and I was like, I was thinking, of course, I'd want lots of leather and all the accoutrements of flesh and stuff, but my pain would be like really crazy metallic, intricate crown of thorns that would be smashed into my head, and the crown of thorns would happen, and then I would get spikes. Basically I ran with the whole Christ thing of a crucifixion.
Wonderful.
So I would have to be crucified in hell and be the hell version of a crucifixion, and then be leather and dominatrix. And I was thinking, my whip would be like a cat of nine tails, and but it could extend, like with long chains that reached out.
I love this so much.
Yeah, but I was like, I don't know what my name would be, but then I was like, oh, maybe I'm just Christ, or
right?
I didn't really come up with a good name.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, Antichrist.
Yes, Antichrist. Yes. There you
go. Yes.
Wow.
It was hard for me to, because I say aunt, not aunt. So it was hard for me to say that. But yeah, Antichrist, you got to say it that way.
I know, and I am an Antichrist to a few drag queens out there, because, in the drag world, we have drag children.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But I am an Antichrist, as well as being a drag mother, and I'm an Antichrist to, most famously, a drag queen in the UK called Cheddar Gorgeous. Because she has a drag mother, and I'm sort of her original drag mother, but I wasn't able to be in the UK and nurture her, so we decided I would be her aunt. Yeah.
Oh, that's so sweet. Okay, I don't know. I mean, I got huge tits. They would be featured heavily. I'm sure the fans would just call me Tits
that's
McGee.
Just 3 of us.
Yeah, I guess that's
all 3
true.
of us have massive tits.
Yeah. That's true. Okay, fine.
We could be the Titty Trinity.
Oh my God, yes.
The Holy Trinity of tits.
The Holy Titty.
Yeah.
The Holy Trinity.
Yeah, Trinity. There you go.
Love it.
Okay.
Put something in my mouth. So I'm just like, mouth open. I just have metal between my upper and lower jaw, so my mouth is just open the whole time.
So you're like a kid with braces, basically, or headgear. Okay. Well, Beaches, what was your first experience with this movie? Did you see this in its initial theatrical run?
I did. So, like I said, the first Hellraiser, I snuck into a cinema to see it. I was probably, I don't know. Do you remember, does anyone know offhand what year that first one came out?
87.
Mm-hmm.
So I was 13. The reason I snuck in is because I remember being at a friend's house, and the parents came home from having gone to the movies, and the mother was traumatized because the husband had wanted to see Hellraiser. And her reaction to that movie, she was like going around, she was trying to pray, she was holding like crucifix, like, crosses to her. And I was like, as a kid, I was like, I have to see that fucking movie. I have to see it no matter what.
Obviously.
So I went and saw the first one. By the time the second one came out, I think it was just easier for me to I wasn't even sneaking in. So I saw it in the theater, and then I saw it a bunch more times in the theater. And then I got the VHS video store to give me the poster, and I had both posters in my bedroom. And as a Catholic school kid who's since built a career on sacrilege, right? Like becoming Peaches Christ, becoming the hostess of Midnight Mass, and doing shows like Idol Worship, it's like you can't really underestimate the power of the movies Hellraiser and Hellbound and how they infected my mind. So much so that when I rewatch them, like Julia's skinless moment where her skin is in a pile, I totally recreated that scene from my Terror Vault show without realizing it until I rewatched it for this podcast, where I was like, oh, that scene I did 2 years ago, that's that's exactly that. So it's so buried in my my brain. So I can't say enough about how much I love this movie. And like you nerds, I listened to the soundtrack and, just really, really loved it. And I feel like the first movie for me is an intimate, cozy movie. And I think of it as a haunted house movie.
Yes. Yes. A horny haunted house movie.
A horny haunted house movie. And the second movie I think of as a haunted attraction movie, meaning it feels like you're going through a big haunt maze, and you're really, experiencing more of a haunted world than a house. So I love both.
I love how you brought up the feminist elements of the first movie and this one too, because I think it's a huge fucking part. Yeah, and it's one of the biggest reasons that I hate number 5 and have a lifelong grudge against Scott Derrickson for comments that he made about the Hellraiser universe.
Oh.
He made some comments about how everything that needed to be said had already been said, and then instead what he gave us was some, like, bullshit neo-noir with the most boring white boy, basic Christian black and white, black and white morality about boo sex work, basically. Trash.
Boo that.
Absolute trash. And the Cenobite design in it is women with mesh tights over their heads.
Yeah,
so,
no,
I have a grudge.
What about you, Caitlin? What was your first experience with this one?
I don't even remember at this point. I feel like I watched this not long after I saw the first movie, which was like a couple decades ago, certainly. But when I was doing my costume, I went through and I watched everything again, or at least up to 4 again.
Oh, you mean, unlike me, you haven't seen every single one?
I have not seen every single one.
I've never seen the ones without Doug Bradley, other than 2022.
I don't recommend most of those.
Yeah. I am going to rewatch all the direct-to-video Doug Bradley ones at some point, though, because I've only seen all of them once,
fine.
and it's
you can
been
do that.
years.
I think it's
fine. I support you in that decision that you're going to be making.
9 is the one where he was like, fuck, no, I'm not doing this. Because it's the one where they were going to lose the rights to it, so they wrote the script in 72 hours. It feels like the Brazzers porn parody of it. It is so atrociously bad that my husband and I watched all of these. We tend to complete horror movie franchises. So we watched the first one. We're like, we fucking love this. We watched the second. Then we just kept watching them. And after we watched 9, we had to like take a break from movie watching for a month.
An entire month.
An entire month.
Wow. I can't imagine not watching a movie for a month.
Don't you wonder, because Clive Barker and Simon Bamford, who played Butterball, and Doug Bradley were all friends before the first movie was made.
Yes.
So they're all buddies with Clive, and in fact, that apparently there is some sort of maybe orgy and all sorts of stuff, right? So I love that they go way back. But what I wonder is, as Hellraiser continued to jump the shark, what was the friendship like between Doug and Clive? As Clive watches his brilliant, intellectual property just be turned into the McDonald's of horror franchises.
Because it got picked up by Dimension Films. It was Bob Weinstein, and they were just churning them out.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that Doug got roped into a contract for a multiple film contract.
He probably did.
That makes sense.
Did not expect things to go the way that they did. So
maybe that's why their friendship survived.
Yeah, I can't imagine there being bad blood between them.
Because Doug has bad-mouthed quite a few of the DTV ones himself.
Yeah.
Understandably. I mean, number 9 is the one, when it came out, they were marketing it as, from the mind of Clive Barker. And Clive Barker this was the 2000s, so he took to social media to make a statement that the movie is so far removed from his mind, it's not even from his asshole.
Good for him.
And this is why we love Clive Barker.
Yeah.
I don't remember the first time I watched this movie, but Hellraisers 1, 2, and 3 have been with me since I was pretty young, honestly. So I probably watched this when I was like 11, 12 for the first time.
Bless up.
And I'll talk more about this on our next episode, but Hellraiser 3 was actually the first one that I saw. And it was because I was like, oh, it's Dax from Deep Space Nine. Yeah. Again, I'll talk more about that next week. But, then I went back. I watched 1 and 2, probably rented
Which is the one with the CD
Blockbuster.
Cenobite?
That's number 3. Yeah,
That's
DJ CD Cenobite.
DJs.
There's some really
That's
interesting
literally
ideas
as
in
far
number
as I-
3, but...
Yeah.
That's as far as I got, was 3, because I watched 3. Remember, I was older than you all. So when I saw these, so by the time 3 came out, and part 1 and part 2 had affected my 13 and 15-year-old brain. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
For sure.
I go to the movies to watch part 3, and I left pissed off, you know.
Understandable.
4 is really fun. 4 is really, really fun.
A lot of people are like, ugh, it's Hellraiser in space, but that's really just a framing device. Everything...
They were all in space
It's
at
got
that
baby
point.
Adam Scott.
All horror movies were in space at that point. So,
but 4 has a lot of good stuff in it. You get some mythology about how the box was created, and you also get some really nice set pieces.
And good gore. Good gore.
An excellent lady Cenobite in Angelique, who, again, we'll talk about that in a couple of weeks. But yeah,
Are you doing all of them?
We're doing 2, 3, 4, and 2022. We did.
And what's 2022 called? Is it just called
it's
Hellraiser?
just Hellraiser.
I call it number 11.
I loved it.
But that's the one with Jamie Clayton as the Hell Priest, and I am in love with her. I love this movie. I was texting with y'all earlier today about how sometimes I vacillate between whether 1 or 2 is my preferred film, because this does something that I really love when movies do, especially a sequel, where it expands upon the original without losing the spirit of it. And it doesn't make itself convoluted. It
doesn't retcon things from the first.
It just makes itself fascinating and engrossing. And I really appreciate that about it. And I also appreciate learning more about movies. So let's head to our next section, Faith and Chance.
I can't exist by myself because I'm afraid of myself. Because I'm the maker of my own evil. Goodness is only some kind of reflection upon evil. That's all it is.
So, what was happening in movies at the time? This movie came out in 1988, and the 80s are a really, really fascinating decade for cinema. So, this is a co-production between the US and the UK. That's not so strange in terms of what was going on in US cinema, UK cinema. Our film industries are pretty closely connected. So the things that are getting portrayed in their films and the things that are getting portrayed in our films are pretty much on par. One of the big differences is in terms of more progressive outlooks and whatnot. The UK tends to be about a year or two ahead of us, especially with things that are made for TV. Our television industry also is further ahead than our film industry, and I'm bringing that up because I'm specifically talking about queer films. So, post Stonewall, 1969, you get this sort of interesting time period where studios and the major studios, and then also kind of the indie offshoots of studios, are open to and looking to make films with queer lead characters, mainly cis gay men, in a positive light, not being the villains of the story, not being sidekicks, but actually getting romantic plot lines. And this time period lasts from 1970 to 1982 and ends after Making Love comes out, because you have this little thing called the AIDS crisis. So when that really swings in full force, the film industry pulls the fuck back. Television, so movies of the week, specifically ABC, they start tackling that subject matter in their weekly movies. And then, interestingly, in the UK, a movie called My Beautiful Laundrette gets made in 1985. It stars Daniel Day-Lewis in one of his first starring roles.
Peaches, I fucking hate Daniel Day-Lewis. We covered The Phantom Thread, and I was so mad about it.
I have a lot of thoughts about him, but I love My Beautiful Laundrette with a passion.
And I love Phantom Thread, so there.
And this movie follows a Pakistani British boy and a white former member of the National Front who were schoolmates and become lovers. And they were definitely lovers when they were kids. It is this culture clash rom-dram with a romantic happy ending. It was made for about $450,000 for television for UK Channel 4, but ended up getting a theatrical release, getting nominated for the Best Adapted Screenplay at the Academy Awards. And so producers looked at that and thought, oh, maybe the door is open for us to do this again. Merchant Ivory in 1987 does Morris, which does not do as well as Laundrette. It does much better over here in the States, which is interesting, than it does in the UK. So that's all important because you then get movies like Hellraiser and Hellraiser II, which, you know, based on the Hellbound Heart, which is a 1986 novella. So and Clive Barker is an openly gay man. You can't not look at this movie series and not look at the queer content. And it's also coming on the heels of the golden age of the slasher movie. And slasher movies are often analyzed through a lens of being a backlash to not only queer rights, but also the sexual revolution of the 60s and 70s. So you kind of combine all of that and you get something like the Hellraiser movies. As for what was really popular in the year this came out, big, diehard, Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Which excellent gateway horror right there.
Yes.
Hey, Who Framed Roger Rabbit has moments of pure horror.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Absolutely.
And
When that shoe goes in the dip.
God, it's dead.
Ooh, that was good. Have you ever done Jessica Rabbit? Because
No, I just get called her.
Well,
I
yeah.
was going to say, I wish I have. I wish I had.
All right, Caitlin, over to you.
So, this movie famously was not written or directed by Clive Barker, but since this is the first one that we are covering, I wanted to just give a little bit of history on who's Clive Barker, in case you don't know. A lot of this is taken from Arrow's Quartet of Torment that was put out a couple of years ago.
2023.
Thank you, 2023. It's the first 4 movies, and it came with this book called Ages of Desire by Phil and Sarah Stokes, which I read.
I have not read it
I'm just going to
yet.
keep going. I'm just going to keep going with it, and like, oh, there's so much interesting history here.
I like how that's what you read recently, and I just read Nathan Leopold's autobiography.
Oh, great times. But I say, they weren't the supermen that they thought they were.
Not even getting started.
So, not today. So Clive Barker, author, screenwriter, playwright, artist, many, many hats he has worn, and notable homosexual. What's wild to me is when I read this, it was like, used to have sex with older women, but around the time he turned like 7, I think he was like 16, 17, 18, he realized he was gay. And I was like, all right, get it, girl. Like, He also had this history of putting like filleting puzzles, demons, or angels to some in his works. And a large part of this was Faustus, Dr. Faust, and what followed, because I'm never going to not make that Phantom of the Opera connection. Mephistopheles. You know, so funny is because I said it, Karen. I said it incorrectly when I was thinking of it in my head, and then I wrote it out and went, oh yeah, it's Mephistopheles. Of course it is. Still didn't get it correct. And Clive Barker was making this movie called The Forbidden. It was a short story. This is before he had a film career. And he did it with like Peter Atkins, Doug Bradley, a lot of people who were brought in for Hellbound, Hellraiser II. And this idea of like the surgeon of God, he was really into like the skin being ripped apart. He was very into these Vesalius prints by Andries van Wezel. That's Dutch, so it's going to be whatever I say it is. who wrote On the Fabric of the Human Body in 7 books. He was called the father of, I'm putting it, Western modern human anatomy. And these books included wood prints that were highly influential on Barker and his aesthetics. Some other influences of Clive Barker's, Kenneth Anger. I really liked this quote where he said one of the inspirations for these pieces was the work of Kenneth Anger, which I first saw in the late 60s. At the time, my hometown of Liverpool boasted a burgeoning art scene, and there were small but overfilled screenings of American underground films every few weeks. Many of these offerings lost me. Chelsea Girls was a fine soporific. You know, I say these all correctly until I get in front of people, and I'm just like,
sure.
It just I said, I know. Fair. I never learned how to read. But Anger's films, with their mingling of homosexual signals, impenetrable occult symbolism, and sheer cinematic brio mesmerized me. They formed in my mind a bridge between the work I might attempt myself, they weren't technically very polished, and the more mainstream films that I had an appetite for. Horror, science fiction, biblical epics, and musicals.
I want a Hellraiser musical.
I do too.
Yes.
I want a Hellraiser opera. Kind of
yes.
like the way the Met just did the Bluebeard opera, the really kinky staging of it.
Amanda loves a Bluebeard.
I do love me a Bluebeard.
And he continues, here was a cinema of hallucination, lushly stylized and perversely metaphysical. What more could I want by way of a model?
That is such a beautiful way to talk about your influences. I talk about the things that have influenced my music over the years. I've been doing a lot of discography deep dives from my vinyl collection. I'm going through The Cure right now. And yes. And like, I realized that even though Pornography is my favorite album by The Cure, Faith had way more influence on the music that I make. And it's so beautiful to be able to find those influences and make your own thing that you may not have done if you hadn't experienced those other pieces of art.
That's the other thing that is wonderful about the world that we live in, as far as, you know, we're at a time now where the art we're creating is all informed by the art that came before us. And so I always love it when, you know, my thing lately has been like, I'm going to celebrate and talk about all the drag queens that existed before RuPaul's Drag Race. Like, I need the world to know who Doris Fish was. I need the world to know who Vaginal Cream Davis is. And when you look at someone like Clive Barker, who did have a level of success that was almost astounding when you consider where he came from and who he was and the work he's making, the fact that he talks about a satanic filmmaker like Kenneth Anger, who was also queer. I fucking love that, because he's saying this queer filmmaker who was friends with Anton LaVey and obsessed with the devil and making movies like Lucifer's Rising inspired me to go on and make Hellraiser. I love it. It's great. And I'm glad that you brought it up, because I'd never heard that quote before and it gave me chills.
Yes. I really love how Clive Barker also talked about Hellraiser. He's like, it's a romance, like a story of intense passion and desire with a puzzle and consequences of solving that puzzle as devices to explore the perversity and depth of those human desires.
He is a very eloquent man.
He is.
Yes.
Even when he is absolutely reading something for filth.
Oh,
and that
yeah.
is
Honestly, sometimes that's when he is
that.
the most eloquent.
Love that. God, when he tears things down.
There is an excellent quote. It's Doug Bradley going, he always was giving me the best notes of any director to any actor ever. And this was for one of the stage shows that they were doing. And he was just like, Clive gave me a note that was, say this line as if the northern wind was blowing through your eyeballs.
I've
wonderful.
I've told you this, but Hellraiser was a huge influence on my Beast with Two Backs script.
Oh, I can tell.
Yeah.
And I mean that in a good way.
Huge influence.
I gotta read that again.
Wait, I can send you the new, actually.
Oh, you have a new draft?
I have a new draft, but that was, Ephraim has read that script, and Peaches, I was trying to do a, like, staged reading, and I was like, we should have a drag queen read the stage directions because they are intense. And
Don't
we were
hire
talking
Ephraim.
about...
May never show
we
up.
were talking
We
about
don't know.
you.
We don't know.
Oh, really? That's amazing.
It won't be Ephraim.
I mean, what I love about that is go ahead and hire Ephraim and then get me.
I think that's what we have all learned here.
Well, history repeats itself. We know this. Yeah.
Oh my god.
But speaking of people not hired, no, I'm kidding, because I do kind of feel like famously, like I said, that Clive Barker did not write or direct this. There are a lot of people, especially in the special features of Hellbound, talking about like, oh, what Clive did was so original and unique and this and that. However, he had just signed on to a book deal. So he's like, I can't do both. At all. So he did not do the directing or screenplay. However, he did do the story. And he was an incredibly hands-on, like, executive producer. He was there a lot. And his longtime collaborators, Peter Atkins, he brought on to write a script. They had formed a theater company called The Dog Company when they were in their late teens, early 20s with Doug Bradley. So this all just decades and decades in the making. Peter Atkins is actually the person in the forbidden short story that gets flayed.
Yep.
It's gorgeous because Clive Barker painted him all black and then did like kind of almost a woodcut print on Peter Atkins' body. It's excellent. There's also penis, so if you're into that, wonderful.
Hanging dong. Flayed dong.
Hanging dong, yeah. Flaying dong.
Dick down.
Tony Randall, who is the director of this movie, was an executive of post-production for Roger Corman's New World Pictures that put this out. Roger Corman. What a delightful weirdo. Excellent. And Tony Randall was heavily involved in the editing for Hellraiser and a lot of the post-production. He is not credited. However, he was there. So he really felt like he was taking Clive Barker's work. Again, Clive Barker was there. All of this to make the second movie, which obviously starts right after the first one. As we've talked about, that the first movie is a haunted house picture, which I didn't even think about until it was brought out. I was like, oh, of course. We're in like almost one location.
Yep. It's basically a haunted house slasher.
Yes. And bringing hell to the real world versus the second one, which people have called it a lot. They're like, and it's asylum. It's a chase picture. It is bringing us all to hell instead of hell to us. Less about the pursuit of sexual gratification, but the pursuit of knowledge and this idea of the Orpheus myth, where instead of Orpheus looking for Eurydice, Eurydice is searching for Orpheus. So we have Kirsty on the path to look for her father. Who was not there, girl. Like, no. You got tricked.
Yeah. Poor
No
Larry.
shit.
She got got. She got got.
She really did. Did she really think her dad was writing that?
He didn't do anything.
She gets her revenge. I mean, that
Yes.
scene with Frank is one of my favorites because as a young person, I didn't get it as well as I do as an adult. But to basically stick a sex addict in hell where they're being taunted by delicious, beautiful, sexy, bloody maidens, but anytime he gets near them, they kind of disappear into the walls. But what's weird about that moment is like Christie's ability to sort of kill him is kind of random. She's just like, whatever, and then sets the whole place on fire. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Which huge fan of just set it on fire, girl.
Yeah.
Like,
Fire cleanses.
that's how we're going to take it all down.
Yes.
So what kind of influence has this had on our culture?
So the budget at the time was $3 million. Nowadays, that would be about $6 million. At the time, 1988, it made $12.1 million. Most of that was in the United States. Like a huge portion of that was the United States, which today would be about $24.5 million at the box office. 4 years later, we get Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth. This, I am so bummed out
I know.
about every time I look at it. I know that Ashley Lawrence had signed on for 2 movies. However, Julia was supposed to be the star of the franchise. However, one of the things that I heard was during the screenings of Hellraiser, it became really clear that the audience was latching on to the Cenobites, particularly lead Cenobite, played by Doug Bradley.
Lead Cenobite.
Yeah, no, that's how he
I
was
know.
originally credited in the first movie. But it's funny because if you watch any of the modern versions with captions, they do list him as Pinhead.
Yep.
It's that sort of, I mean, all of us know this story about the marketing of it and how that all happened. The tale on its own of Julia, and this is why I love the first 2 movies so much, is so femme-centered. It's such femme-centered horror. And even lead Cenobite does not come off as some sort of toxic straight male, killer. Like, he comes off as a little queer, right? And And then there's all the leather stuff, right? So when you're marketing this movie, I wonder if that first poster, if it had come out and it featured Julia on it, you know, as the Wicked Queen, which she's really not until the second movie. But I'm just wondering how much could have, but that one sheet with Pinhead holding that box, if you go back and you look at that one sheet for the first movie, that's it. That's where he became the star in everyone's minds because it is so compelling. The makeup is so amazing. The costume is so incredible. And then let's face it, by withholding the characters, we want more. We want more. We want more.
Yeah.
So it's this interesting thing. But I do think that Claire Higgins and Julia in many ways don't get their sort of credit, which is really... she is so brilliant in these movies and so evil in a way that we didn't see in these sorts of horror movies. I think it was ahead of its time,
Yeah,
absolutely.
We look at movies like Hereditary now and Toni Collette, and it's like, guess what? Claire Higgins paved the way, right? Like, she showed up and was amazing.
Yeah, and if the stories had gone a slightly different way, they could have almost been good for her, for Julia's character.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
She's a really complicated character, and she's
so
much
compelling.
fun.
She's so compelling. And Claire Higgins, I've never seen her give an even just good performance. I have only ever seen her give excellent performances. And one of the things I love is that she is not a horror fan. So she has never watched the first 2 Hellraiser movies.
I think she said she could watch up until like Frank first shows up
Oh my God.
in the first Hellraiser,
Which is
and she was
understandable
just like, I
because
can't.
that
I don't
scene
want
is... Oh, man. The first time I saw that movie, I was floored, I was disgusted, I was horrified, and I was enamored.
Oh,
And
I think I cheersed.
Nice.
Also, because horror has a stigma around it, surprise! I think there are 2 things. She didn't want to continue with the franchise because she was not a fan of horror, but there was a point where she was like, if anyone's going to hire me after Hellbound, like that was a worry that she had. Like she was going to get stuck in the genre, quote unquote. The thing that I also found really interesting was that Ashley Lawrence, who played Kirsty, is also not a fan of horror movies.
She does come back for the 6th one, which is not a great movie, but at least it's not the 5th one.
Well, and I do know from interviews and archival materials, she did at least have fun doing this.
Absolutely.
And I don't know if y'all have watched the 2-part documentary about the making of the first 2 movies. It's pretty good. But there are so many men who worked on that first movie who had nothing but negative things to say about her because it was like a debut performance. And I don't understand what they're talking about because I think Ashley Lawrence is excellent in both of these films.
I think she's compellingly awkward in a way that they are reading as like bad performance, and I'm like, no, it's real. I really like that she's not like other actors that we can immediately latch onto because she's doing a performance that we've seen before. And I'm like, I think it's unique and good. And in fact, I think Heather Langenkamp does the same thing in A Nightmare on Elm Street. And
yes, and that's why Heather and Kirsty are two of my favorite final girls.
They're just different, and they're a little bit awkward, and their performance is different. But guess what? Teenagers and young women are that, and I loved that. You know, and the other thing about her is that's been nice is she seems to, like a lot of horror actors who aren't fans of the genre, they become fans of the genre, not because they become fans of the films, but they become fans of the fans. And she seems to have been able to embrace, these are sick, weird people who are actually lovable, empathetic. You know, she seems to get that these fans are cool people, which I like.
Yeah. I just had the quote that it was cold, sticky, and sweet. So that was after she got doused in blood, which was like Caro syrup, and then had to just sit around.
Yep.
And because it is corn syrup, it doesn't evaporate at all. So you're just sitting there, just sticky, cold sweetness the whole time. I was like, I get it.
As someone who's worn that kind of blood in photo shoots and different on stage. In fact, I was so covered in blood for so long in my early drag career that the tits I used to use, because none of us could afford expensive breast, you know, even though they made those chicken cutlets and all that stuff, they were expensive, you know, and like, even if you were trans, it was like, this is a major expense because
this is an investment.
It was an investment. And so we used to, the cheap grunge drag queens that we used to take birdseed and fill pantyhose with them and tie them off with a knot, and the knot would make a little nipple, and it would actually move in a way that looked effective because the birdseed, you know, I did so many gore performances. Exactly. And I did so many gore performances that I went to get my tits and put them on once, and they had sprouted because the blood and the syrup had been enough to generate sprouts. And I remember cutting off sprouts of my tits before like going to do a number. Yeah.
Oh man, it's like me having to shave my chest a little bit because
right.
I still grow chest hair, unfortunately.
Yeah, there you go.
That is officially my favorite piece of Peaches lore now. I love that.
Amazing. I'm just imagining these like sprouting titties as their own form of horror. It's so good.
Yeah, it'd be like in Annihilation.
Well, this was so common in the 90s that if you watch one of my short films called Season of the Troll, there's this moment where the troll stabs me in the tit, and, you know, it's really violent. And then I scream, and I'm grabbing my tit, and all this bird seed's pouring out of my, you know, chest and my hands. And if you were there, like at the time, the audience would cheer because they were like, bird seed and pantyhose. We know what that is. But I think drag queens now would be like, what the fuck? Why is there bird seed pouring out of her?
She used what to make her tits? I just listened to the episode of This Ends at Prom where they covered Now and Then, and there was the discussion about filling water balloons with pudding to make fake boobs. And I thought about it, and I was like, I just wouldn't want to waste the pudding.
How do you get the pudding in there?
I don't know.
A syringe?
Yeah, really?
Turkey baster?
Like one of those cake icing things could work?
Yeah, yes, an icing
an
bag.
icing bag. Yeah, that might work. Well...
Piping bag. That's what
piping bag.
Yeah. Piping bag. Yes, that is what it's called.
Lay that pipe.
This is a baking podcast.
Yeah.
Welcome back to Pleasers and Punishers, where we rate your bakes. I have no idea how to transition to this, so I'll just say on Rotten Tomatoes, this has an approval rating of 52% based on 33 reviews. It has a 6.4 out of 10 on IMDb and a 3.3 out of 5 on Letterboxd.
All boo. All too low.
Yeah, I mean,
Agreed.
This used to be like a 4-star movie for me, and I rewatched it today, and talking about it, this is a 5-star movie for me, so...
I agree.
It's a 4.5, maybe 5 for me. It's always been a 4.5 for me. So,
well, let's make that money. One day we'll have sponsors. And now we'll dig into the meat, the goo, the viscera, the skin suits in a section we call Enough is a Myth.
No. I've done enough.
Enough is a myth.
okay. This series focuses heavily on the fine line between pain and pleasure, sex and death, much like this podcast. The Hellbound Heart novella was published in 1986 and written, of course, by Clive Barker. A lot has been read into the series as a metaphor for AIDS. What other metaphors do you read into Hellbound? Given the historical context, is it impossible to overlook and divorce it from the AIDS metaphor?
You know, it's funny because I have never really looked at this as an AIDS metaphor.
Same.
It feels so specifically about queerness and the exploration of things within queerness that cis straight people just cannot wrap their heads around. And I think that scares them. And I think the fear of the unknown there, the fear of trying things different, the fear of doing anything other than having boring missionary sex is so abhorrent to them.
Can't have too many thrusts. Can't have too many thrusts.
Reginald, could we finish in 5 or less tonight, please?
Lie back and think of England.
It's not something that I've necessarily read into it, because for me it's just about the transgressive nature of queer sex itself. And obviously, yes, the 80s, it is hard to separate the idea of queer sex from what happened with the AIDS crisis. But yeah, for me, it's just about exploring your quote-unquote forbidden desires.
I totally agree with you, because I think a lot of us bring the AIDS to it because Clive talked about it, right? So it makes sense that we're seeing it because we're told that this was part of it. So, of course, AIDS colored everything if you were creative, making work at this time, and you were queer, and you were losing so many friends, and this plague had descended upon... So, of course it did. But I agree with you, May, that when I watch it, and especially as a queer person who watched it, and a queer, horror-loving kid who was seeing myself reflected in horror movies, I can say that this one is very different than the typical slasher queer read where I would identify with both the monster and the final girl. And, you know, that queer read is so common, and that's why so many of us, you know, especially Gen Xers, were really attached to both Heather Langenkamp and Freddy Krueger. We could identify with both. With this, for me, especially Hellbound, this is like, I'm going to go to that leather bar. I'm going to walk into that back room. I'm going to go to a bathhouse and walk the hallways and be terrified because it's confronting every bit of Catholic guilt that has been, you know, beaten into me. And so for me, Hellbound is about pushing the boundaries and giving myself over to my entire queer self. That's how I've read it for years. And I agree with you. For me, that's a more powerful reading than the AIDS one, because I like the idea that, well, maybe hell isn't so bad, you know?
And I think, like, this one in particular that is elevating, like, Kirsty and Julia, like, as our, like,
avatars?
Protagonists. Yeah, our avatars. Like, we are putting the divas up in front, which is just so excellently queer. Like you said, God, the leather of it all. Just...
Yeah, I always love that Rob Halford brought leather to metal from the gay scene. And Clive Barker brought leather to horror from the gay scene.
And Clive brought the idea that pain could be pleasure. I mean, for a mainstream movie to sort of introduce a sadomasochistic, kind of unapologetically in a way that was like confusing, You know, I remember watching the first one and being like, I don't know who to root for.
It's like, should you be turned on or should you not be turned on? And I mean, clearly in my intro, I was like, Uncle Frank can punish me. So,
Yeah.
Hey, look, Sean Chapman is good looking.
Yeah.
yeah, he is good looking.
You want a few things, which is more complicated than a typical horror movie. You want Kirsty to find her dad, but you also want to explore the nether regions. And in some ways, it's very satisfying to see that shitty doctor kind of get his wish. You know, I actually enjoy that he gets to become this dickhead,
Penis
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then he also overestimates his own power and it gets him killed.
Which I love too.
It's very Greek tragedy and about hubris and pushing it too far. And I think, it's another reason why queer people are so drawn to it in a way that, because I've definitely heard a lot of just like cishet people watch these movies and go, it's not for you. I don't know. It's not for you. Go be boring somewhere else.
Go explore more nether regions. Is what I have to say.
I will never forget showing this movie to a couple of my friends. And this was a couple with one femme person who I believe is still non-binary and one dude. And the dude is like, very comfortable with his sexuality, but pretty straight. And he also was not super into horror movies. And I showed it to them, and my femme friend fucking loved it. This dude was, like, genuinely upset at the end of the movie. And I felt really bad, but at the same time, I'm like, well, I guess it sucks being straight, huh?
It's got a great ending. What's upsetting about the ending?
I think he was just, like, freaked out by the movie.
He was upset by the whole thing. I used to show it to groups of people. I would, like, bring people over and show this movie to them. And I wasn't even out. It's funny when I look back on these things and I'm like, you bitch, you used to gather, collect groups of people and bring them to your place. And this is when I still lived with my parents. This movie was out when I was in high school and I got the VHS. And when I think about it now, the other part of this, in addition to obviously the sadomasochistic queer read, it's not a reach. But the other part of it that I think is in there is addiction and drugs and,
and that's
dabbling.
why I love Hellraiser 2022 so much.
It has that element of, we can push ourselves to a degree to experience pleasure, and we can also push ourselves over the edge. And I like that there's that read or not read. I think it's just there, Yeah. But as someone who's battled with addiction and battled with my queerness and also my gender identity and everything else,
I think
these movies, especially Hellbound, it's like, well, what better than a giant puzzle,
Okay. There's a big focus. We've talked a lot about women being centered in this movie, and there's a pretty big focus on mothers. Julia is Kirsty's evil stepmother. She even refers to herself in terms of the fairy tale idea of the evil stepmother. Tiffany has been placed in a psychiatric facility by her mother, who then, gets killed by the evil doctor. And Kirsty eventually takes on a maternal role towards Tiffany and then saves her while wearing Julia's skin. Despite sanitized depictions in other media, childbirth, like this movie, is really fucking bloody.
Real gross. So I've heard.
So disgusting. So I've heard. My friends have told me. I have not been through it. What is Hellbound saying about motherhood and the role that maternal figures play in our lives, whether they're biological mothers or adoptive or step-parents or drag mothers?
I almost feel like this is just like that shit that they were doing at this time, where like Aliens introduced a kid. A few years later, this is all fucking James Cameron, Terminator 2 introduces a child, and then all of a sudden What I like about this movie, though, is that when I feel like a lot of these movies have introduced children into them as well, that it takes down all of the tension in the movie. You're like, oh, the kid's gonna be fine. She's gonna be fine. Him, her, they're not killing a kid in this movie, which is when I started watching Korean cinema. I was like, oh shit, we're killing kids! So I find it very interesting, just like in this time period that they were introducing a lot of children, particularly in sequels. However, I want to say one thing that was kind of wild to me in that scene where Kirsty and Tiffany were walking off into the sunset, and I think on the second commentary on Hellbound, Peter Atkins go, and there they go to live their best lesbian lives. And I went, wait a minute, sir. Wait a minute.
See, and it's funny because I always interpreted their relationship as more sisterly. And I think that actually ties into how I feel about this, is that anyone can take on the role of a maternal figure, depending on the situation. Whether, there are a lot of oldest children in families who end up taking on a parental role. Yeah, you've talked about that. I think that being someone's mother or mother figure is something that you have to decide to do and commit yourself to, and the person you are doing that for has to be enthusiastically consenting to it, because otherwise you're not going to have the relationship you want to try to have with that person. They are going to see you as overbearing, overprotective, controlling, etc. And like, that's something that real mothers can do as well. And I'm not going to go into all my mommy trauma, but yeah, I mean, just because you're someone's mom doesn't mean you're good for them.
I never wanted to be your mother.
You're not my real mom, and you never will be.
I think maybe it's not motherhood exactly, but what I liked about the addition of Tiffany was the sort of Gyn affection, the women helping women, and the two of them bonding. Yes. And it sort of kind of balances the sort of trope of the first one of the stepmother and the daughter, and kind of fighting about men and, a father. Whereas I felt like in the second one, Julia's so evil and so wicked and so cartoony, which I loved. I mean, it's fabulous. I just amazing. Love it. Yep. Yeah, it's fabulous. But I really like that Kirsty, gets a buddy and someone to go on this journey with, and someone who can smartly help her use their brain to figure things out.
Not fuck up the box when she's trying to solve it like Steve does in the first movie.
Well, no one likes a fucked up box.
In a cliched movie, they would have made Tiffany a boy, right? Like that's the way it would have been done. Yes. And I think what Hellbound did is it's another way of queering it, which is like, no, two women can do this together, Yeah,
it really centers women in the story, and that's fantastic. Yep. You're right, it would be a boy now.
Yeah, I love the moment when Tiffany finally speaks, and the first thing she says is, "Oh shit!" And Kirsty just looks at her like, "Wait, you can fucking talk?" It's so
I
good.
just choose not to. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, if my mom committed me to a psychiatric facility because I liked doing puzzles, aka because I have autism,
in front of me. How dare you?
Selective mutism is a real trauma response.
Yeah.
I learned to keep my mouth shut at that point.
Okay, finally, a lot of characters in this movie go through literal transformations. Elliot is transformed into lead Cenobite, the Hell Priest, popularly known as Pinhead.
How dare you?
Julia is reborn and dies again. Dr. Chenard is transformed into a dickhead.
Cenobitization.
Into a dickhead. He is Professor Penis.
Professor Penis in the labyrinth with the Leviathan.
I'm coining it now. His Cenobite name is Professor Penis. At the end of the movie, Kirsty manages to escape, by showing Pinhead his previous humanity and the other Cenobites. These transformations all occur for these characters because they want something that they just can't let go, whether it's physical pleasures, knowledge, power. What is the saying about human nature? Do we get tunnel vision when striving for a goal and lose ourselves in the process? Are people that malleable?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
A week from today is the 6-year anniversary of me starting hormone replacement therapy.
Congrats.
I was...
Woohoo!
Thank you. I was 33 when I started that. And I am almost 40 now. And the fact that I knew I was trans for almost 30 years before I actually got to do anything about it tells me that, yeah, people are very malleable. And I think it is a natural thing, whether you are neurodivergent or not, to get tunnel vision when you are trying to achieve a goal. And you can just ignore everything else and let everything else in your life fall apart because that is all you care about. And, you know, you watch movies, you watch media, TV shows as well, and there are these moments where people just have simple conversations. Someone can say just the right word, just the right phrase that completely changes someone's perspective and makes them realize, like, oh, shit, I have been approaching this all wrong, or I have been treating this person not the way I want to treat them. Any aspect of interpersonal relationships within humanity, even with ourselves, it is so easy for us to just lose sight of what really matters in a lot of cases. And it is also so easy to just wake up to it as long as someone says the right thing to you at the right time.
Well, the human brain is fascinating where that malleability is concerned, right? Like, I think about it this way, like, I've diagnosed ADHD that's untreated, right? So
Same.
So I know, and my doctor and my doctor and I've talked about, okay, I didn't get diagnosed for a long, long time. And so I have learned to be able to juggle enough things that it actually works for my ADHD. And so some people go, oh my God, how do you do so much? It's like, because I have to.
Right.
You know,
I'm not slowing down, and you will kill me if I do.
Right. And that's part of my ability to adapt, right?
Yeah.
But on the flip side, the idea of getting on, I just flew from Istanbul to San Francisco, to sitting in a coach seat on a fucking plane and having to be trapped there for 14 hours is hell in the air.
That is hell. That is hell.
I can't believe that I'm able to go into a mode on that flight where I give myself almost Stockholm syndrome. And when the flight is ending, my brain is saying, you don't want to get off. You never want to leave this airplane. You love it here. You better finish this movie. I'm like, my brain is able to kind of go into this survival mode, you know? And it's like, I don't know what that is, but humans and our brains are so fascinating. Well, I'm obsessed with cults, right? And so I look at things like Patricia Hearst or, you know, and I'm like, oh my, well, look at the fucking brainwashing we're living with right now. It took one news network to create the biggest cult we've ever seen, you know?
Yep.
So it's fascinating, our ability to be malleable. I hope that we're able to be malleable, you know, real quick, because we need to change course, you know?
Oof.
And as a gender fluid bisexual with ADHD, the answer is yes.
It is
And on
Yes,
that note,
all of it. Yes.
I think it's time to play a game.
Hello. You don't know me, but I know you. I want to play a game.
Oh, yes. Show me your sights.
Yeah,
I was going to say you didn't do it in the voice.
I know.
Oh, sorry.
Oh.
Would you like to play a game, Kirsty? Are you playing games with us?
Ooh, that was good.
Whoa.
So I'm hoping this is going to be a fairly easy one today. It's not going to take much time.
Fuck,
Good news.
marry, kill, Cenobite.
I know.
We got to do that for one of them.
Oh, we're absolutely. I mean, we have many movies right now. So what I was going to say is, I can't remember what I called this game before, but we did Oeuvre with Clive Barker. So these are movies that are either based on stories that he wrote or he was the writer on. So I am going to have you all, as they were released, put these movies into order. As per usual, I did not put these actually in alphabetical order, but I could do it in my head. I was so close. So we have Candyman, Hellbound, Hellraiser II, Lord of Illusions, Nightbreed, and Rawhide Rex.
Rawhead Rex?
Rawhead
Wait, so what's the game?
Rex.
We're putting them in chronological order.
That's the challenge?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Oh.
I know that Hellbound came out in 1988.
I mean,
you going to give us the years and we have to figure out which movie fits which year?
No, just put them in order when they were released.
I know what the order is.
I go with what May says.
I know Candyman came out when I was in college. There's a few that I remember seeing, in theaters. I know Nightbreed is after Hellbound. I don't know, May, would you want to just tell us?
Yeah.
It's Rawhead Rex, Hellbound, Nightbreed, Candyman, Lord of Illusions.
Was she right?
Correct. Yes,
Okay.
Yes, she is.
Good job.
Oh my God, we all got it.
I was like, I feel like this is going to be
Special
like one of the least hard
Well, can we do a
ones.
lightning round where everyone has to say of those titles what your absolute favorite is?
Ooh, I like
yes,
that.
let's do it. All right. Of those titles, which is your absolute favorite? Lightning round. Go.
Candyman.
Hellraiser 2.
Hellraiser 2.
Nice.
Caitlin, what's yours?
So now I'm stuck with Nightbreed or Hellraiser 2 and just going, oh, no.
I realized in the last couple of years that Candyman was actually my gateway horror movie. And because I've lived in Chicago my whole life, it very deeply affected me when I saw it when I was 5 or 6 years old. And so, trust me, I love the Hellraiser movies, but there's something about Candyman.
Candyman is a very close second, but I think because of the age I was when Hellbound came out and the way that it informed me, but I would say that for me, Candyman's a very close second than Nightbreed.
It's just the way that Julia speaks to me.
I was like,
the first two Hellraiser movies.
Now I'm thinking of Tony Todd, and I'm just like, wait, but is the answer Candyman? Because holy shit, Tony Todd.
You remember one of my questions for a recent episode was like, would you wear that dress? And when Julia's in that blue dress, I was just like, I can imagine Amanda in that dress.
Oh,
she
absolutely.
So good.
I would absolutely. I want that.
That whole look. Again, how her hair
even
looked
when
in
she
the
has
first
the bandages
movie.
on still.
Yeah, no, that dress is amazing. It's so it's so double indemnity.
It's when she cut, with the soft curls all of a sudden. Again, I love her severe hair. I had short hair for a long time. But when she comes out with that soft hair and that dress, it's with her skin on, it's like,
with her skin on.
Look at you.
Julia's makeup in the first movie was actually a huge inspiration for why I do my makeup the way I do it, especially my eyeshadow. It was half Julia and half PJ Harvey from this one particular photo shoot where she has light blue, very heavy eyeshadow from the tops of her eyes all the way up to her eyebrows. And
I know exactly what photo shoot you're talking about.
I know exactly which one that is.
So you combine that
Absolutely,
aesthetic with Julia's aesthetic, and that's why I do my makeup the way I do.
From the tops to the bottoms.
Caitlin, did you choose a favorite?
I kind of just waffled around the whole thing, which I sometimes will do. And then we move on, and I'm like, I didn't actually have to answer that. It was great.
Yeah.
I mean, gender fluid
Hellraiser
bisexual
I
with
know.
ADHD,
I'm just like,
can't make a decision.
How do I feel today?
Caitlin can't make a decision. I can't sit in this chair that I'm
No,
in.
you cannot. Straddle in that chair.
Hey, at least you're not on your knees in front of that tiny low table.
That's what we said. So
On your knees in front of what?
Amanda's
that
at
blue
her
Yeti.
in-laws right now and not
On
at
your
home.
knees in front of your in-laws? Oh my god.
I did watch the entire 50 Shades of Grey trilogy with my in-laws.
On your knees. Oh my god.
on your knees. I was like in front of that Yeti, which would be
My
a lot to
father-in-law's
take
name
on.
is Larry, by the way.
Oh, that's
Oh, no.
hilarious. Okay, well, speaking of things that are punishing, how would you categorize this movie? Pleaser, punisher, kinky, queer?
queer as
queer.
fuck.
Queer.
Yeah.
Queer and kinky.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
All of the above.
Yes.
Yeah, unequivocally and inherently queer and kinky. It is just part of this film's DNA. And we'll talk about it next week, but I think that's one of the big things missing from Hellraiser 3. It doesn't feel queer.
Agreed.
That's a big issue with
Agreed.
a lot of the DTVs. It's why
Yeah.
4 is fun again, because there is queerness in it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And then, yeah.
And then,
It's why I have
yes.
a weird soft spot for number 7, because it's a little queer. You have the butler from The Parent Trap being a cunty little shit.
Who doesn't
Excellent.
love that?
So there's like it's not as queer as the first two, but it's coming back to it, and it's going back to being kinky again. And that's why it's, of all the DTVs, the one I have a soft spot for.
Does anyone know if the 2022 version is one and done, or are we getting another?
I don't know, but
The sighs that just came from myself and May.
I thought it was a one and done.
Peaches, I don't remember if I told you this, but the last album that I put out is based on Hellraiser 2022.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
It's
like
so
that's how much
good.
I love
It's
that.
really good.
Send it
that's
to
how much
me.
Okay, I will. You can even get it on vinyl if you have a record.
Oh, okay.
Just
My
a little
husband has
plug
a
there.
vinyl collection, and so
Ooh,
I have a
excellent.
little collection within his collection. Which, yeah.
But I'm a big David Bruckner fan in general. I have loved all of the movies that he's done, and I would kill for him to make another movie and expand upon the already expanded lore that I think he did so well in that. But there's been no news of it. I know a lot of people just refer to it as Hulu Raiser and don't really like it very much. And those
I
people are
loved it.
wrong.
I
Same.
loved it, yeah.
I loved it from the first time I watched it.
And especially when you consider what we've had since part 1 and
Right.
2, right? Like, I'm sorry, but Hulu Raiser is on another level. Like, come on, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's a real movie, unlike a bunch
Yeah.
of the GTVs.
And it's queer, you know.
It
thank
is
God.
so
queer.
queer.
Yeah.
I definitely don't have the affinity for it the way that the three of you do,
Oh.
which is
you'll
nothing
get there.
against it. It's
You'll
nothing
get
against
there.
it. I am just so attached to the first two.
Oh, for sure.
see.
Yeah,
And
totally
the
understand.
bloodiness and the like sexiness of them, which
Fair enough.
the remake, it's not a remake, the new movie isn't giving you that same level of sexiness. It's a very
That's true.
different metaphor. And I don't think I connected with it in the same way as I do like woman being punished for sexual desires. Which is probably quite
You're
telling.
like, here
but-
I am.
Yeah.
Here I am.
All right. Do we have any final thoughts? Or are we ready to wrap up like Julia in her bandages?
Don't you see? He's got us now. Okay, this is exactly what he wants. We can't go to the police, not now. He's made sure of that. He's just out there and he's watching us and waiting. What are you waiting for, huh? What are you waiting for?
All right. That brings us to the end of our episode. Thanks so much for joining us on this journey, fellow travelers. If you like what you hear, please leave us a rating and review wherever you can, because it helps more people find the show and it makes us all tingly inside. You can find us on Instagram at Pleasers and Punishers and on Blue Sky at Pleasers Punishers. You can also email us at pleaserspunisherspodcast@gmail.com. You know where to find me and all my stuff. I'm not going to go through it again. Caitlin, where can you be found?
I can be found at Caitlin of the North on Threads and Instagram, Cat of the North on Letterboxd, and I just keep popping up on People Under the Scares' Patreon or Buffy Watch Along. Fuck my hellmouth.
Amanda.
I can be found on Blue Sky and Instagram at Amanda Jane Stern. I am Witchy Wanderer on Letterboxd. You can also hear me podcasting on Don't Be Crazy and newly Murder Made Fiction.
Yes!
Recording my first episode tomorrow, which will no longer be tomorrow by the time this comes out, but that's why I've read everything about Leopold and Loeb.
And Peaches, thank you again so much for joining us. This was I feel like I could not have asked for a better episode for you to join us. And
Wow.
I had so much fun with you and Michael when I talked with y'all about Shopping Mall. So tell people where they can find you and all of your various things.
Well, I'm on all the social media stuff except for X, which I got off of for obvious reasons, but it has led me to confront the reality that there might be a day where I just leave all social media. So I've been beefing up peacheschrist.com. I've been investing a ton of time in it, keeping it up to date after years of neglect. So I'm really pushing peacheschrist.com as the place to find me.
Excellent. And as I said at the top of the episode and just mentioned, you are the co-host of Midnight Mass, the podcast with Michael Verratti. And how often do you put out episodes?
We are bi-weekly. So
Bi-weekly, okay.
We started as a weekly and then had to take breaks too often to kind of keep up with things. So we just decided to go bi-weekly.
You're both very busy people. I totally understand.
How often does your show come out?
We're
This is
weekly.
weekly.
Damn.
We're starting season 2 in July. We are going to be switching to video because everyone seems to be doing that. And we are also potentially launching a Patreon. So we will be
can
coming
make that
out
money.
a lot. Yeah.
More
We
power
got to
to
find
you.
ways to make that money.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Thank you again so much for being here with us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. And next week's episode, in case you haven't guessed, is going to be on Hellraiser 3 Hell on Earth, directed by Anthony Hickox, who made one of my favorite ridiculous 80s horror movies, Waxwork.
I love that movie.
Right? It's so great.
I love that
so
movie.
great.
Oh my God.
Okay, well, if you cover it on Midnight Mass, I'm coming back for that.
That's a deal. I'm adding it to the list.
Talk to Michael on Blue Sky. I have been trying to come on Midnight Mass.
Okay, Caitlin.
We all love this. I mean, obviously.
Hey, Caitlin and Amanda, the best way to get on, because we are, like May said, very busy, send us a list of your obsessed cult movies, and then we
did send him, but I can email. I have your email now. I can
send
email.
it to me.
Okay, right, because you
say.
show up when people don't, like Ephraim.
That's right. That's
Exactly.
right. And the best part is I'm jumping off this to jump on a Midnight Mass recording, and I cannot wait to confront Michael with this news.
Yeah, we had Michael on here before Amanda joined.
Oh, I'm going to say Michael, but they dragged you. Oh, my goodness.
Michael Verratti, known asshole. Just kidding. We love you, Michael. Michael, literally one of the sweetest people I've ever interacted with.
Yeah.
All right. Well, until next week, do some aftercare, clean your toys, set healthy boundaries, and
be sure to put on some leather, grab your chains and hooks, engage in some bloodletting, and see what comes out.